Good to see everybody. It's a real honor to have the Miyaste Beis, one of the founders of the Beis Medrash all those years ago. Rabbi Ilan Halberstadt, we see the Rav, Machziki Adas, familiar face in the Beis, the Kol.
Okay, can you record this? No, I just need extra. I don't mind. Okay, Rabbi, so we don't have long, so let's speak a little bit about Shira or Pesach, and really the Indian, of course, is to speak about Bashar. I'm going to speak about Bashar in terms of what happened with the Yom Tov. What I mean by this is really why is Pesach split into two halves? We have the first part of the Yom Tov, which of course, Leila Seder, that's Tzias Mitzrayim, but the Yom Tov's not over until we've had Shira or Pesach, Kriyas Yom Tov, which makes us think, why was the actual episode, the whole story of Yetzias Mitzrayim in these two halves? Because Baruch could have done it all in one swoop, right? Could have done, started with Yetzias Mitzrayim, and then the next day could have been Kriyas Yom Tov. But we needed this sort of time in between, and in fact, one could ask why you needed extra miracles. Like, I know we discussed in the Haggadah how many miracles we had in Yetzias Mitzrayim and how more we had at the Yom Tov, but why was it necessary? What, more miracles? What was the extra stage? There's lots of discussion around this particular idea, why we needed the second half of Yetzias Mitzrayim, i.e. Kriyas Yom Tov. So that's question number one. Question number two is, why is it that of all the methods to destroy the Egyptians, the final straw that literally finished them off in this case, what finished them off was they drowned in the Yam Suf. Now, of course, there could have been many methods. Sodom was destroyed through fire. Why was it that the Egyptians, the Mitzrayim, they drowned in the Yam Suf? Question three. We also find the beginning of the parsha, actually, of Bashar, which we're going to speak about. We're going to lay and hopefully also speak about over Shabbos. But we will lay that what happens. By the way, just a question for you to think of for homework. What's Vayi b'shalach para esa'am? If you're a from Yid, this sounds like a funny posik, a difficult posik. B'shalach para esa'am? Excuse me, wasn't it Hashem that took us out of Mitzrayim? Like b'shalach para esa'am? Like he gets some credit here. What's going on here? That's a side question. I'll let you think about that for homework. But it seems difficult to understand. Nonetheless, what else do we say? We see in the Psukim, it says clearly that Moshe takes the bones of Yosef with him. Now, of course, this pasuk could have been said at the end of Parshas Bo. It could have been told. In fact, it did happen at the end when we came out of Mitzrayim. Moshe Rabbeinu was Chacham. He was the one that was misasik b'mitzvahs, says the Medrash. Another question that we're not going to deal with tonight. Why does it say he was Chacham? Because Oiseh b'mitzvahs and everybody else was Oiseh b'bizas Mitzrayim. Surely Moshe Rabbeinu told them all, b'shem Hashem, of course, they got to be Oiseh b'bizas Mitzrayim. That's also a mitzvah. So why is Moshe Rabbeinu called the Chacham Lev? He's Yikach mitzvahs. He goes to fetch the bones of Yosef. Okay, another question to think about that we're not going to deal with tonight. But nonetheless, here we have the psukim of Atzmos Yosef are taken with him. As we said, this could have been stated at the end of Parshas Bo, but it's clearly put in here in the Chumash, beginning of Parshas B'Shalach, part of the fact that we've come out of Mitzrayim. Paro is actually about to regret the fact that he sent us out and is going to chase after us. But squeezed in there in the Psukim is the reference to the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu, V'yikach Moshe's Atzmos Yosef imay, he took the bones of Yosef with him, and Ein HaPosuk Hazeh Omer Ela Darsheni. Why is it put in at this stage? So that's the question about Yosef. Another question. We find when we're standing by the Yom Tov, they, klalisol are obviously panicking, don't know what to do, and Moshe Rabbeinu davens, and Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, Vayom Hashem Moshe, Ma titzak elai. Why are you crying out to me? Davar b'nei Yisrael v'Yisrael. Speak to b'nei Yisrael and let them travel. Says Rashi, Ma titzak elai. Limadu shoy Moshe oimed mispalel. He was davening away. Aval HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Loi eis at laharach b'tfilah. It's not the time to be marach b'tfilah. Yisrael nesunim b'tzara. Klalisol are in pain. They're in b'tzara, and therefore tell them they've got to go. Now, I don't know, but a good Jewish boy is taught from a young age, if you're b'tzara, you daven. You know what you do? Rabbi Shabbat, it is not a time to daven now. Klalisol b'tzara. Isn't that a time to yes daven? Because Klalisol b'tzara, everyone agrees. Machlekes Rambam, whether tefillah b'chol yom is a mitzvah deraisa. Everyone agrees deraisa. You have a mitzvah to cry out and daven to Hashem. Beis tzara. Im lo yachshav eimosai. And yet Rabbi Shalom says no. Rabbi Shalom, it's not the time to daven now because Klalisol b'eis tzara. What? That's another question we need to understand. And a final question is, why did klalisol only sing Shira at the point of post Kriyas Yamsuf? I'm sure they were singing when they came out of Mitzrayim, but the Oz Yoshe moment only happened afterwards. Now, there's a lot to say about this, and there are several approaches, and we certainly don't have time for more than one. So let me suggest an approach like this. The Maharal already points out that the Egyptians stood for ultimate chaymer. Ultimate chaymer, Pesach, Hamoed, Bashar, they are a nation steeped in physicality. They're totally immersed in the physical. They don't look towards the heavens. They've got their Nile and everything else, and they don't look towards anything else. And we, of course, are Limtara Shamayim, Tishta Mayim. But Moshe Rabbeinu, says the Maharal, is called Moshe, of all the names that he has, and he has many names, Yukasil and Tuvia and many others. But the name that we speak about the greatest person in history is Moshe. And why is he called Moshe? Min hamayim mishisihu. From the water he was drawn out. Okay? Shkayach. It's like, of all names to give the greatest person in all of history, you call him the drawn out one from the water? It needs explanation. Explains the Maharal. Because, yes, water represents the ultimate chaymer. But Moshe Rabbeinu is drawn out from the water, and this is an indication that he is the master and in control of the physical. Now, let's explain what the Maharal means, because the truth is, even this idea is confusing. I never understood. I don't understand. Water, what is it? Chaymer, the ultimate chaymer, it's all about the physical, but one minute, ain't mayim ala Torah. Which one is it? Mayim is ultimate chaymer, or is mayim the ultimate surah in the lashon of the Maharal? Which one is it? You can't be both, or can you? What is mayim? Life-giving surah, or the ultimate chaymer? Moshe Rabbeinu is min hamayim mishisu, because mayim is chaymer, says the Maharal. But the explanation is something obvious when you think about it. What is water? It has the potential to flood the world several times over, to create a mabul, or it is the life force of all of existence. Nothing could live without water. So, which one is it? It's very simple. If it is controlled and channeled, then it's life-giving. If it's just without borders, then it's the opposite. Then it's the ultimate chaymer. A sea is the ultimate chaymer. You just drown in the sea. But water, in the right amount, in a cup of water, that's life-giving. And this is what the battle between really Mitzrayim and klalisol is all the way from the beginning. Moshe Rabbeinu is called Moshe Rabbeinu min hamayim mishisiu. It means he's in control of the mayim. There's a physical world. You can either drown in the physical world, which means totally just be sucked into it and not see anything beyond, or you can be Moshe Rabbeinu, where you're drawn out of the water, which means you're completely in control of the water, i.e. the physical. Even Mashiach is called Oni HaRoichev Al HaChamor. Well, what do you care how he comes? He's Roichev Al HaChamor, he's riding on a donkey. No, he's Roichev Al HaChamor. He's somebody who's able to be in control of the physical. That's what Mashiach is. That's what we stand for. The spiritual world, Hashem's world, is in control of the physical world. And it must be the defining feature and description of the physical world. Now, with all that, let's answer some of these questions. Why did the Egyptians get drowned in the Yam Suf? Because they were a people that were totally absorbed in Teva. And if you're absorbed in the physical world of Teva, then you end up literally, what's the lashon of litbaya bayam? They drown. Litbaya bateva. If that's where you live, that's where you end up. They lived a world of teva, the physical. So you end up drowning in that physical world. And in fact, it's the same word, as we said, teva and litbaya are the same thing, because that's where ultimately you're going to live in the world of the mabul. Like Noach, and the generation of Noach was destroyed with Mayim, they didn't have any limits. So too, Mitzrayim, they lived in that world, that's where they ended up. What about, why is it important for us to know that we came out with Atzmos Yosef? We came out with Atzmos Yosef. It's critical, you have to know at this point in time, here we go, we've left Mitzrayim, and with us, Moshe Rabbeinu has Atzmos Yosef, the bones of Yosef, because we all know Yosef is the ultimate Surah in control of the Chomer. He is the king, the hero of being in control of the physical world. When it says, Hu Hashalit b'chol eretz Mitzrayim, it doesn't just mean he happens to disseminate all food to all of the country. The Torah is telling you essence. Hu Hashalit b'chol eretz Mitzrayim. He's in control of the physical world, which is what Mitzrayim represents. And therefore the bones of Yosef come with him. Famously, the Medrash tells us, Ma ro hayom vayonos. Vayonos vayotza chutza. He was vayonos, he ran out, and therefore the sea also splits. The sea, which represents Chomer, splits. It makes way for the Yosef and Tzaddik, if that's who they represent. It makes way for the vayonos vayetza chutza, which, by the way, vayonos, running out at that point in time, is lashon nes. It was a nes. What's a nes? Naturally, you would do this. But he was supernatural, i.e., he went above his nature. He showed that he's in control of nature. He could control himself. You could go above your nature, then the sea, the nature, splits for Atzmos Yosef. And of course, this is the critical message that when we come out of Mitzrayim, why is it in two parts? There's a critical message here. Not simply that the Rabbi Shalom can do miracles. Wonderful. Of course Hashem can do miracles. That's not the tachlis of this world, that Hashem should do miracles. The tachlis is that we have to then realize that we have an avodah to do in this world. We have the ability also to actually bring godliness into this world, to bring Hashem into this world. Yetzias Mitzrayim, Hashem turns on the lights. Wonderful thing. But we know the tachlis is that we're supposed to turn on the lights by bringing Hashem into this world. And klalisol, so to speak, got Yetzias Mitzrayim for free. And as we go through the process, more and more, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to wean us off, so to speak, him doing it for us, and we have to try and do it ourselves more and more and more. So it starts with Kriyas Yamsuf, we'll speak about that in 1 second, and then we get to, obviously, 40 years in the Midbar, ultimately, Eretz Yisrael, and really, ultimately, all of history, which is Hashem saying, no, I'm waiting for you to do it on my behalf, or to be Megala, me in this world. But the first time that we actually had to do this is in the Yamsuf. HaKadosh Baruch Hu squeezes us into the corner. Why did it have to be in two parts? Because Yetzias Mitzrayim was the Rebbeinu Shalom doing it for us, but now he says, in some way, I want you to begin the journey. You've got to begin that journey where you're going to bring my name into this world. And therefore, he puts us into this situation where we're now by the Yamsuf, and we cry out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In fact, it's Meduhik that we cry out. And that would be the answer why HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe Rabbeinu, don't daven now. Klalisol already davened. In Pasuk Yud, it says, Paro was coming after them, Vayitzaku b'nei Yisrael el Hashem. They cried out to Hashem. But still we asked, no, Moshe Rabbeinu is crying out to Hashem. Isn't that a good thing? Oh, it's not time to daven. This is an Eis Tzara. It's not a time to daven. What's pshat? It means they've already davened, number one, and number two, there needs to be something more than tefillah. How can you get more than tefillah? Here it needs to be klalisol, to show the absolute commitment to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We need a Nachshon ben Aminadov, or we need, according to the other opinion in the Gemara, we need a Shevet ben Yomin. They're going to jump into the sea first. Wow, they're ready to mamish put their lives on the line for Hashem. That's now Megala HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world. Of course, tefillah helps, but at that particular time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was saying, it's not a time for you to davening, it's a time for Klal Yisrael to show that they can step up and they can do something l'shem Hashem and actually cause Kriyas Yamsuf. Cause Kriyas Yamsuf in the merit of the Nachshon ben Aminadov or Shevet ben Yomin, or just the etzem fact that Klal Yisrael were ready to go. that merit splits the sea. And therefore, what happens in the two stages is, the first stage is yes, Mitzrayim. But the second stage, yes, it's only at the end of a week. It's got to be a whole process. But the second stage is, Rabbi Shalom says, now do something yourself to show that emunah, to stretch and to flex that muscle of emunah. And that's what they do. They jump in, they go in, and then the sea splits to show this incredible feat. In fact, this would also answer why klalisol only said the Shira at this point. I want to suggest that klalisol didn't realize their koyach in this aspect until after Kriyas Yamsuf. Because up to now, they've just been lechtech achrei b'midbar, which is a wonderful thing. But me, who am I? I'm just a follower. You're not just a follower. You are an active participant. You are the one who's going to bring Hashem into this world. You mean we could jump into the sea and b'zchus that? We can split open this whole Yamsuf. Hashem acts because of our behavior? Wow, we have such a koyach. You know what the result of that is? Wow, I want to do more. I want to reveal more of you in this world. I want to be Megala more of you. And they had a rotzin to sing that Shira. And therefore they were able to sing at this point, wow, if this is the Koyach of klalisol, this is what I want to do. We're wrapping up. Let me just make sure we've got all the questions answered. It happens in two stages. So you know the first stage is the Kodesh Baruch Hu doing it for you in Yitzias Mitzrayim. But Kriyas Yamsuf is a little bit more of us bringing Hashem into this world. Why did the Egyptians have to be drowned in the Yamsuf? Because that's the world they lived in. They lived in the world of ultimate Chomer. Why is it that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, it's time for them to journey, because I want them to show their commitment, and then al yadei them, the sea will split. And why was Yosef's bones so critical? Because he was the one that was actually, so to speak, the one that was bringing the message to klalisol, that you could be in control of the physical. When you're in control, you'll be elevating the physical, and the sea will split on your behalf. Let me conclude with one last thing. I know we're going way over time, but one last thing. And that is the most unbelievable Sfas Emes, who says, he asked on the famous Rashi. Rashi says, Oz Yosher Moshe. Oz Yosher. Then, Allah Belibo Yosher. Right? Klal Yisrael wanted to sing. Oz Yosher. Rashi's commenting on the fact that it says Yosher, they will sing. Oz Yosher. Oz Sharon Moshe. Oz Yosher Moshe B'nai Yisrael. So Rashi says, Allah Belibo Yosher. They wanted to sing. Every time you ever do anything, you previously had some sort of thought that I want to do this. Allah Belibon, they wanted to do this. Says Sfas Emes, something outstanding, unbelievable Sfas Emes. He says, all a person, you can ask a different question. How could klalisol be mechaven to the words of Hashem? These are the words of the Divrei Torah. The words of the Torah. You know the answer is, all you have, they can't be mechaven to the words of Hashem, but all you can do is have a will, a rotzen. That's what's in your possession. The rotzen, the desire to serve Hashem. Allah belibob nashir. You have a rotzen, you have a desire, you want. Boom. Hashem gives you these words, the siyata d'shmaya, to be able to say the words of Divrei Elokim Chaim, of the actual Torah itself. It all comes from the realization that we realize, wow, we have such a koyach that we can bring Hashem into this world. Allah belibob nashir. Boom, and then it happens. That's what Hashem wants. It's the rotzen that a person has. The rest of it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he finishes off the sentence. That's the rest of it is up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is what it's all about. Our rotzen, bringing HaKadosh Baruch Hu into this world. Have a wonderful Yom Tov.